Let's dive right in. There's something that could be silently, and I mean silently, draining your energy, your focus, and your motivation every single day. It's called insulin resistance. And honestly, it's one of the most common health issues out there, but so few people really understand what it is. So, does any of this sound familiar to you? You get what should be a full night's sleep, but you still feel exhausted. Or you eat a pretty good meal, and like an hour later, you're starving again. What about that mental fog that just won't clear up? Or that stubborn weight around your middle that just refuses to budge no matter what you try? Now, it's easy to just chalk all that up to stress or, just getting older. But what if it's something much deeper, something happening at a cellular level? See, the really tricky part is your blood sugar could come back from a test looking totally normal, even while your body is right in the middle of a serious energy crisis. So let's investigate this. Think of it like we're solving a mystery. And all those feelings of fatigue, those are our very first clues. To really get to the bottom of this, we have to meet the main character in this story, insulin. The best way to think of it is as your body's energy traffic controller. When you eat food, especially carbs, it breaks down into glucose, which is your body's main fuel. But that glucose can't just wander into your cells by itself. It needs insulin to literally unlock the door. When things are working right, it's a beautifully simple system. Insulin comes along, knocks on the cell's door, the door swings open, and the glucose moves right inside to be used for energy. And when that happens, you feel great, focused, satisfied, full of life. It's a super smooth and efficient operation. But what happens when that perfect system starts to break down? Well, this is where we meet the villain of our story, insulin resistance. Okay, here's a fantastic way to picture this. If insulin is the key to the cell's door, in a healthy cell, that key fits perfectly, and the door just swings right open. Easy. But with insulin resistance, it's like the lock on that door has gotten all rusty. The key still fits, but now you've got to jiggle it and push, and it just struggles to open. So what does your body do? It's smart. It doesn't just give up. It starts producing more insulin. Basically, it makes more keys. And it starts knocking louder and louder on that cell door, trying to force it open. And for a while, this actually works, but it comes at a huge cost. The cells, hearing all that noise all the time, they start to ignore it. They become even more resistant. And that right there kicks off a vicious cycle. And this can go on for years, completely under the radar. Your insulin levels are creeping up, your body starts storing more fat, especially around the belly, and those cravings and energy crashes just become your new normal. All while your basic lab tests might look perfectly fine. It's a silent metabolic breakdown. Okay, so let's connect the dots. How does all of this science stuff actually lead to that feeling of being constantly and utterly exhausted? Let's break down why this process leaves you feeling so drained. This is the central paradox, the really crazy part of all of this. Your bloodstream is full of energy. It's packed with glucose. But because those cell doors are stuck shut, your cells are literally starving for fuel. There's plenty of energy available, but it just can't get to where it needs to go. And this starts that awful energy crash cycle. Your starving cells send an SOS signal to your brain. Your brain gets the message and sends out these powerful, intense cravings for quick energy. We're talking sugar, carbs, you name it. So you eat them, which causes your insulin to spike like crazy to handle the rush, and this just makes your cells even more resistant. And that right there is why you can eat a big meal and feel hungry again an hour later. Your stomach got the food, but your cells didn't. Now, let's talk about your brain for a second. This thing is an energy hog. It uses a massive 20% of your body's total energy every single day, and its favorite food is glucose. It's got a huge appetite. So it makes total sense, right? When insulin resistance stops that steady flow of fuel from getting to your brain, the consequences are immediate. That's the brain fog. That's when you have trouble finding the right word or you can't focus on a task. That feeling of just being mentally exhausted, your brain is literally running on fumes. So how can you know if this might be happening to you? Well, your body is actually sending out a lot of warning signs, but they're really easy to just ignore or mistake for something else entirely. Let's just run through some of the most common ones. We've already talked about that constant fatigue and the brain fog, but also pay really close attention to intense cravings, especially for carbs or sugar in the afternoon. And that stubborn belly fat, that is a classic sign linked to insulin. Are any of these ringing a bell for you? And here's the key takeaway, the most important thing to remember. We have to reframe how we think about these symptoms. They are not a normal part of getting older or just being busy. They are clear metabolic signals. Your body is trying to tell you something really important. And there are even more signals. Ever feel like you desperately need a nap right after you eat lunch? That's a classic sign. Some people even notice physical things like darkened patches of skin, maybe on their neck or in their armpits. And because blood sugar has a huge impact on our mood, just feeling irritable or having frequent mood swings can also be a clue. So what gets us into this situation in the first place? Well, it's almost never just one thing. It's usually a slow accumulation of factors. Things like chronic stress, not getting enough good sleep, a diet high in processed foods and carbs, and, of course, not moving our bodies enough. It's like a perfect storm of modern life that slowly rusts the locks on ourselves. Now, I know that hearing all of this might feel a little overwhelming, but the goal here isn't to worry you, it's actually to empower you. Because understanding what the problem is, that's always the first step toward finding a solution. And here is a really powerful way to think about all this. Your body isn't broken. It's not failing you. In fact, it's doing its absolute best to adapt and protect you from an overwhelming situation. These symptoms, they aren't signs of failure. They are alarm bells. Your body is just trying to get your attention. And this brings us to the most crucial piece of information of all. This is the good news. Insulin resistance is not a permanent state. Your body is incredibly resilient, and it absolutely can become more sensitive to insulin again. With the right changes to how you move, sleep, manage stress, and what you eat, you can help your body get back into balance. So ultimately, this is all about understanding the why behind how you've been feeling. Once you can see that your fatigue or your cravings or your brain fog isn't just random, that it's a signal of a deeper metabolic issue, then you can start addressing the root cause instead of just chasing the symptoms. So I'll leave you with this one question. Your energy level. That's often the very first alarm bell your body sounds when things are getting out of balance. Think of it as the canary in the coal mine for your metabolic health. The real question is, are you listening to what it's trying to tell you?